Hello, everyone. Welcome. Get started in a few seconds. All right. So today's webinar is going to be about summer internships where you can gain real-world experiences for college success. So what we'll be covering for today is a little bit about how to apply to these summer internships. For the most part, it's already May, so technically summer is just right around the corner. So you might be a little bit late to be able to apply to internships. So the other way is to be able to create your internships through networking. So I'll talk a little bit about how that works. So that way, possibly people who are still searching for that could be able to utilize that strategy, and also how to maximize your internship experience. The whole point of this particular webinar isn't necessarily just about how to get the summer internship, but how to learn from it and be able to use it for your applications. And so we'll go cover into like how to network, how to increase your value, and also how is it an example of how to write about it in your essays. And lastly, there are resources we'll share at the very end. If you're part of our coaching families, we'll talk about our internship program as well if you wanted to consider that. So, oh, I realize my mic isn't used. Change my mic. Okay, this might be better for people. Okay, and throughout this entire time, feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A, and also replay notes will always be available after 40 hours. If you haven't met me already, I'm Coach Victor with egelloC. I used to be a former UC Berkeley admissions outreach coordinator and instructor, teaching a class on how to get into graduate school, went to different high schools to talk about college admissions. Also, fun fact, I was a UC Berkeley scholar on a full ride for undergrad and graduate school, so didn't have to take any loans, thankfully. And also, by way of background, I used to work in K-12 education policy, ed tech, and also now as a mission advisor. So let's go into our topic. And first, I want to be able to talk us through what are the three different phases of work-based learning, because when we think about internships, sometimes you might not be ready for an internship, right? You got to work your way up to it, because yes, internships are a great way to be able to like learn and get exposed about what particular fields you might want to do, but there are better ways to be able to do it that is easier to be able to attain that experience. So for example, phase one is all about shadowing, just to be able to get a sense about how do these jobs work, or what is it like to work at this particular place. The shadowing is a very low risk for employers to be able to give you that experience, because all you're doing is just shadowing them, right? There's not a sense of you having to deliver any work or do any work. And that's a benefit because you can just absorb just by watching and observing. Phase two is project-based learning, where you deliver a scope of work where you can apply the specific skills about what you learn. And the goal there is to be able to demonstrate that you have some working knowledge on the kind of skill sets that are required. And lastly is going to internship, where you're getting the most experience, where you're actually delivering value to the employer. For the most part, there's not that many internships that exist in the first place. The reason why internships don't exist is because it takes some work. It takes some time for the employers to be able to provide that. So usually in ways they're doing it out of service, they're not necessarily doing it out of need. And so in this case, the whole point is to flip the script, where instead of you like kind of applying and looking for an internship and like hoping that they'll be able to like select you, you want the employer to want you to be a part of the group because you provide them value. So that's the whole point, where instead of job like seeking or job searching, you're actually like choosing an actual job. And we'll talk about that in a bit to make more sense of it. So just to walk you through a little bit about how, sorry, my dogs are barking. Okay, so for students, how they typically apply for internships, they usually probably go on LinkedIn. If you haven't already and you're looking for an internship, you should definitely start at LinkedIn. This is like a professional social media network where you can be able to find a whole bunch of job listings. And who knows, maybe you might actually find a reasonable one that's worth applying to. In this one, when students are applying to it, there are some particular issues, which is that when students just generally don't know what they're exactly looking for. They're going through a whole list and they're just using their confirmation bias to see if there's something that might be worthwhile to take. And the thing is, you're not being intentional, right? You're just going through and just seeing like what actually sparks your interest. That's okay for some people, but you want to be, you don't want to waste so much time searching through a list that that where you can actually use that time for something else. Second, students are usually competing for these same internships all across the country. Usually, if you see like a internship over here, like right here on the right side, if you notice, it says this was posted 1 month ago and there's already over 100 applicants. So usually it can be very difficult to compete with everyone else who's applying. And lastly, generally, students don't fit the qualifications. They might have particular bullet points. Maybe you might need a degree. Maybe you might need a specific skill set or particular experience to apply for this job. And in ways that could be good learning for you about what kind of experiences or project-based learning can you actually do before you apply to actually be eligible. But generally speaking, students don't typically fit that qualification. The other part, students might typically apply for a well-known internship program such as like Cosmos, which is a very competitive, well-known kind of program here. And generally speaking, you're competing against 1,000 of other applicants. In this case, it makes it even more difficult, more challenging to really be able to accomplish getting a seat. And also just know that this is a very much a guided program. So students don't get to really control their experiences. So if you're trying to learn something specifically, you might not necessarily get that at the program that you applied to. And you don't really have a choice about how your day-to-day experience might be. And lastly, it's not personalized or special. So very similar to the whole controlling factor. You're taking an experience that everyone else has. Like if you can imagine, if you're interested in applying to like, let's say UC Berkeley or Harvard or something of that sort, how many other students who are applying also probably have Cosmos on there, right? Like there might be a reasonable amount. Yes, it's still worthwhile to put it onto your application or your resume. But the thing is, it's something that many other students are going to also like report out on. So so if you don't want to apply through LinkedIn or going through like a job posting website, or if you don't want to go apply to a whole like big program, then the other option is to create your own internship. And so creating your own internship can be one of the most valuable experiences just because you are being intentional about creating that summer experience for yourself. And best of all, if you're able to go through this kind of process, you can talk about it within your college applications and talk about how the lengths that you went through just to be able to try to acquire this experience, because not many students are actually doing this. In fact, I guarantee like almost like less than 5 students at a school might actually go and do this work to be able to accomplish this task. And again, what these colleges or universities are looking for is, are you able to take initiative? And you don't have to wait till college to really start learning about your field or your major. And that's where this initiative is taking place. So I'm going to walk you step by step about how I did it in the past as well, so that way folks can be able to maybe replicate that. So first, develop a list of organizations. So this was me back in 2018 while I was in grad school, but essentially the skills and experiences you might have might look very different, of course, but these were the things that I knew that I had value in. I was really good at being able to use Tableau, which is a data visualization tool. Maybe for some other students here, maybe you're good at Google Sheets, maybe that you're good at some coding, or you might be really good at admin work. So think about the skills and experiences that you might have. Also, what are your values and interests, right? What are the things that you like to do? For me, I was very interested in public policy and education at that time, and I was very rooted in East San Jose, my hometown. And so I was really intentional about what I really wanted to work in, or the places that I would work in have to share the same values. And so after that, I identified a few organizations that could be a good fit. So think for yourself, right? Instead of my hometown, right? Think of your own hometown. What are the potential organizations or local organizations that might have something that shares the same values or interests as you? And then develop that list. And then based off that, you can be able to identify which particular people can you contact. So usually all this information is public online. You can also use LinkedIn to be able to figure out who they are as well. And for this, it was I did the due diligence of actually emailing like half of these folks right here. I emailed everyone on the top 2 rows of data here that you're seeing, just because I thought that they would be open to be able to talk to me. And so this is an example of what one of my emails looked like. I introduced myself. I talked about I was a student and I'm seeking their time and knowledge in regards to workforce and economic development policies affecting San Jose. The way that you frame it, right, is you are not just saying, hey, I'm reaching out because I want an internship. You are going into, you want to have that conversation to learn more about the topic that they are working on. If you go up to somebody and you say like, hey, do you have an internship for me? It makes it feel very transactional. The goal is to be able to show that you have a high amount of interest in the same things and that you have shared common goals. And then the second paragraph, I talked about how someone introduced me to be able to potentially work with them. And I wanted to learn about their perspective about something that was happening in San Jose. And then towards the very end, I talked about how I'm requesting their personal guidance in my professional trajectory. And I would love to get their recommendations on where can I potentially leverage my interests and skills. So this is an example of just like I'm being very to the point about what is it that I'm hoping to be able to get and do through this conversation. And then that's where you prep for an informational interview. So informational interview might be first time that a lot of students hear about it. It's basically instead of you interviewing for a job, you're interviewing the other person. So think of it as you're just trying to acquire information for yourself. So it's less high stakes, right? The goal is just like imagine you are a researcher and you just want to learn more about their career, their job, the company, whatever it is. So the first part is to identify your goals. What is it that you're trying to learn? And try to identify what are some clear objectives that you want to get by the end of the conversation, which could be either you want to get an internship or you want to be connected to other people who might have internships, or you just simply want to be able to add them to your network for future references. Second, research the interviewee, take a look at their background. There's a lot of information already online, so you can be able to catch a lot of information in preparation for these interviews. Because you don't want to ask them questions that you could already do through a Google search, because that's just a waste of both of your times. If you can find that information online, then leverage their time for something else. And lastly, develop thoughtful questions that aligns with your goals and focus on their experiences, insights, and advice. When you're trying to ask someone questions, the really good questions are like that start off with like, tell me about a time when you did X, Y, or Z, or tell me about like you're asking them to describe their own personal experiences rather than like trying to ask them a question that you can potentially ask Google, right? So everyone has their own unique experiences and you want to learn more about their field, their interest, and eventually the goal is to be able to figure out where can you plug in and to support them in their objectives. So as you're conducting the information interview, right, once you're ready to get to the next step and meet them in person, start with small talk, build that rapport, be able to show that you're friendly, have good charisma, because you want them to generally like you and to get along with you. Ask your questions, but something to be careful about is don't ask it like a Q&A where you're just going line by line by line, right? Like have a dialogue, go back and forth, right? Have conversations about a particular subject, go into another question. And you might want to practice this. You can practice this with your peers. You can practice with an adult. It can be intimidating if you never had an informational interview with somebody. But another way to just think of it is you're just having a conversation and there's nothing scary about that. Third is seeking advice. So ask for guidance on your own personal journey, whether that's your career or college path, and also how do you develop those specific skills. For high school students, it's really a great question to even ask them like how do I start developing skills to be ready for a job like yours, or how would you recommend for someone like me to to even help out or to stand out in this particular industry. What is it that you feel like are recent industry trends that I should be looking out for to prepare myself to go into this field? Asking those questions can give you a bit of guidance of like what kind of project-based learnings can you do and what skills that you can develop at your own time. And again, this is all about taking initiative, right? Yes, this is like really about this whole process in itself can be highlighted even within your applications about how you're taking the initiative to go out and talk to professionals. And lastly, discuss next steps. So at the very end, always try to end it either with like hey, can you connect me with at least 2 or 3 other people to be able to chat with them, or ask them like, hey, do you happen to know just any internship opportunities that I might be able to participate in? Because as you know, I'm trying to develop my own skill sets. I'm really trying to get more exposed to this. Like, do you have any idea where can I get that? And the thing is, you're asking at it generally, right? You're not asking them directly. And that kind of helps a little bit because it adds a little bit less pressure for them to feel like as if they have to give you that opportunity. But if you frame it as like how do you recommend that how I can get an internship opportunity, you're getting them on your side and you're trying to problem solve that together. And that's like kind of the art of like networking and dialogue, which is you want to get them to like generally like you and want to genuinely like help you in your own kind of internship search. And so if you frame it in those ways, then that makes it that you both of you are working together to accomplish this need. Next is crafting an internship experience. So once you have if you are or successful in being able to potentially like get them to volunteer to be open to having you as an intern, then the next goal is what is it that you can do to support them, right? Because you don't want to just go in and just expect that they will be able to give you work right away. The goal is to be able to give them clarity about what skill sets do you have or things that you want to learn before you go into that internship. So if you can identify what skills do you already have or what are the things that you are developing, and also try to align it to their interests, right? If you were able to talk to them about what particular issues are they having at their workplace, you might be able to identify how those particular skill sets could be able to address that particular issue. Then you go into defining the internship role. What are some common internship responsibilities? If you look up, like for example, social media internship role, or business operation internship role, or engineering intern role, like you can look at the general job duties that come up, and that can give you an idea of what exactly is it that you could be able to do for them. And this is where like you are kind of crafting your own like in a sense, your own job description, and you're proposing to them, saying like, "Hey, these are the things that could potentially do to support your company." And if because usually after that informational interview, it's not like they have an internship role already created. Uh, they might be interested in helping you out, but they might have a difficult time themselves of being able to figure out like, oh, what can you help out with? And so if you give them this particular job description and saying like, hey, I think this is something that I could do for you, right? Then that you're making their job easier and that they might be more interested or inclined to be able to support you. Lastly is finding your mentor. Uh, during your time of, and maybe this more so when you're actually within the internship, but try to be able to identify who are the people that you can be able to connect with within the internship, and whether that's your supervisor or a colleague, and who can be able to be invested in your own training. So after you have crafted that internship role, after you've talked with them, then you want to follow up with a portfolio and along with like an idea or recommendations on what is it that you can do to support them. So in this email that I am showing here, gave them a thank you email, and also talked a little bit about what I learned, what kind of stood out to me, and then I sent them a portfolio of the things that I've done in the past. And this is why I recommend doing the phase 2 of the project-based learning experiences first, because if you if you shadowed first, right, you understood what is it that these businesses generally do. You understand what they are uh, trying to accomplish. You understand what skills they need just from observation. And then from there, you build that particular portfolio, you practice the skills. And then after your informational interview, you're sharing with them exactly what you've done in the past. So that way they can see what is the impact that you can make for them. So this example where I created some of these portfolio documents of previous internships I've done or previous projects. And that's what actually led to me getting a paid internship through this way. And I didn't have to compete against anyone. So actually, this took only 2 conversations. So the amount of preparation for this, right? it might seem like a little bit daunting, but in reality, I only talked to two people to really be able to accomplish my own internship during this time because I didn't actually have an internship with Kim, for example. Actually, she introduced me to somebody else who thought that I would be a good fit for. And then they offered me a job or internship. And uh, that's just through two conversations that lasted for 30 minutes each. Like it wasn't a 1 hour conversation. And in between, though, of course, there was a lot more work in between, which was trying to be able to prepare for these conversations. But the reality of the case is when it comes to talking with people, it doesn't take that many meetings to be able to create a role per se. So this is one of the many examples that you could use to be able to create your internship. And just know that not many students will actually do this. And so if you're able to accomplish about creating your own internship experience, then that's something that not a lot of students can be able to highlight on their application. And that's what helps you stand out. Yes, having an internship just generally helps you stand out in the application process. But imagine if you were to demonstrate to the admission readers that you actively created that internship and you went out of your way to make it happen. Uh, and so for those who are listening, 90% or 80%, I'm not sure if y'all will be able to be willing to take that step. But if you are the few 10 or 20% that is willing to take that step, then that is definitely going to help you on your applications. So let's talk about maximizing your internship experience now. So let's assume that you were able to acquire internship, whether that's through regular applying or creating your own internship, doesn't matter. You got to your workplace. Great job, right? So once you get there, the question that you have to ask yourself is how can you increase your value and your reach? When you increase your value, right, your value is pretty much the skill sets that you can provide to an employer. Uh, Value is the reason why internships are not highly valued or there's not a lot of internships out there is because they have very low value, right? Not many high school students actually have skill sets just yet. And so the goal for you is to be able to figure out how can you skill up and find and develop those skill sets that can be employable. And that's through the shadowing and then the project-based learning. And the next part is reach. Reach is where your network, essentially. It's how many people do you actually know that can give you those opportunities of success. Because let's just say you have high value but low reach, meaning that you do have a lot of skills to offer, but no one knows you. Like no one knows that you are creating this amazing application in your room, and the only people who know about it is your parents. That's very low reach but high value. And if you were able to increase your reach, then all of a sudden you might have a lot of particular job opportunities out there. I know a few students who actually were interns for a particular company, and they were actually taken care of throughout college. Like they were taking classes while during their internship. They actually got a job while they're in college, and this was even from high school up to like they started off in high school or right after high school, and the company actually ended up paying them for the entire tuition, which is very rare, of course, but things like that can happen if they see you as like someone to invest in. And so the only way to be able to find those opportunities is by increasing your reach. If you came into this webinar and you're like, I don't know of any internship opportunities out there, or I don't know people who might be able to provide internship, then that means you have low reach right now. And the goal is to be able to network to be able to do that. But first, let's go into your values. So to increase your value, right? Value is just a simple equation of benefit minus cost. Benefits of the hard skills that is acquired through training, through practice. This is something that you can create yourself. If you are a student that's taking computer science, you're learning hard skills right now, actually. Whatever you're coding, or if you're using basic tools like Google Suite or Microsoft Office, those are all additional things. Soft skills are like interpersonal skills or social skills, if you think about it that way. They're generally acquired by experience just from working in different places and through leadership roles. If you don't have a job before, and you're trying to apply to your first internship or job, it's okay to put down your leadership experiences. Just be able to clarify like how you've been able to grow your organization, or sorry, grow your club, or support your club in particular events, and just all those different events that you've held, or uh, programs or services or whatever it is that you do for your club. Those are all additional soft skills that you can highlight. And the next part is the cost, right? And there's two types of costs that are associated here. There's the financial cost and attention cost. So when it comes to hiring an intern, you have to know that it's not that they're so reluctant or so happy that you reached out to be able to help them. There are there's a cost to be able to have you as an intern, even if you are a free intern, meaning like you are doing it for volunteering. They still have to pay for your technology or your equipment. They have to hire staff members, or they have staff members that help you onboard, and they'll train you and teach you how to do your job. And so generally, those are just like very basic costs. But the one that matters the most, which a lot of people don't really think about, is the attention cost. The attention cost is the amount of time. And you know the saying, time is the most valuable thing, because everyone has the same amount of time. Uh, and you don't want to waste their time when it comes to the amount of supervision that they would have to oversee you, the training, the onboarding time. So the goal here is to be very independent in your role. The goal is to you can be self-autonomous, meaning that no one has to tell you what to do. You can kind of go in already, understand the problem, and figure out what exactly you need to do. And again, that's why project-based learning is so important, because if you demonstrate that you've done the work before, then technically there is less time required to train you and teach you about how to do those things. So something to think about: are your benefits higher or your cost higher, right? That helps you understand how valuable you are as a potential intern. If you feel like you have no skills and you don't really have anything to provide, then essentially you're it's kind of sad to put it this way, but yeah, you're more costly if anything. If someone doesn't want to hire you because you don't have anything to really provide. And if you say like, oh, how do I increase my benefits? Well, you gotta figure out what you gotta increase your skills. What skills am I supposed to develop? Well, that's through shadowing, right? Or talking to people. The best way to be able to learn about the workforce or to learn about employment is to talk to people who actually work in that field. And in fact, for majority of the students here, it's possible that your parents are actually working in that field. If you don't know, ask your parents. And if you don't know anybody and if your parents aren't working in the field, ask your parents if you know somebody that actually works in that field. Have a conversation. Those conversations are super helpful, and they're super simple. All you got to do is just have like a 20, 15-minute conversation about what is it that they do. And that helps you identify those hard skills or soft skills that you need in order to be successful in that role. So again, figure out how valuable you are. Where are you on this like y-axis here? If you are too low, then think about, okay, how do I increase my benefits, and or how do I reduce the attention cost that to be more autonomous here. All right. And the next part is about reach, right? And to increase your reach is really about networking. Networking, I think generally folks might know what it is, but people don't realize the impact that it has. So for example, if you're this blue person right here in the middle, right, there's only so many people you might know. This person is connected to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. That means that they have 6 people in their network that they can talk to. Well, the other people the people in their network actually know some other people as well. And they might have 6 people. And this is the power of networking, which is you might not know somebody who works in the field or has an internship opportunity, but you might know someone that does, right? And that's the power of networking, is that if I needed like a medical professional for something, I don't know. Let's say I wanted to talk to a surgeon. I might not know a surgeon, but I have some friends who went through medical school that might know somebody that can do that. So that's the power of networking, is you can think about who generally might have that connection that you need. For the most part, when you're a high school student, you don't really have a network. And that's okay, right? It's obvious that you might not, but you want to start it. The way to start it is by either, even going to different schools, talking to other people, or talking to your parents and asking your parents to introduce you to other people. Once you get connected to one of your parents' friends, then they're added to your network. And then that opens a lot more opportunities. If you were to ask one person to introduce you to two people and you did the same thing for every single person, right? So for example, person A introduces you to person B and C. You ask person B to introduce you to two other people. Then you meet person D and E, and then it just keeps on going. It branches off into a tree like this. And that's your goal, is to be able to talk to as many people as you can, because as I mentioned, Kim is someone who I networked with. She answered my email, which I was very surprised about. And she didn't give me an internship, but she introduced me to Jeff. And Jeff was the one that gave me an internship. And that was just through two conversations. So people don't realize that just a simple conversation can get you to a lot of different places. And just even the way that y'all are learning through this webinar right now, you're talking to me because I'm part of your network and you're gaining the skills from me. So imagine who are the people who I can introduce you to and what you can learn from them, right? So think about it this way, is if you have a problem of you don't really understand what skill sets that you need to skill up yourself to be an intern, then you got to talk to people in that particular field. If you don't know, you don't have that person to talk to in that field, then look into your network and figure out who is it that can connect you to that person. All right. And when it comes to networking and also developing your reach, reach is an equation of your number of connections and their influences. So the number of connections is really, there's two types of connections, one that's deep, one that's weak. The deeper ones are like your family members, your really close friends. They know everything about you. You might share the same values. Y'all are really close and you're in that small little community together. Your weak connections is like quantity of relationships, and they provide you new information or opportunities that you never realized. The weak connections are actually the most important thing rather than deep connections here, because imagine this. Imagine if you network with somebody who you never met with for the first time. And when you have that conversation with them, they will always remember you from that 20 to 30-minute conversation only. Meaning that if you create an impression and you talk to them a year later, 2 years later, your reputation still stands. Meaning that the weak connections are actually very powerful in this case, because they are the ones that understand what your motives are, what your goals, what skills you have, and those weak connections could potentially be the ones that actually help you get a job, because your deep connections might not know a place that has that is looking for interns, but those weak connections, if you create a strong impression with them, they hear about an internship opportunity and they're like, oh yeah, I had that one conversation with Victor, and he was actually seeking about an internship. Maybe I can reach out to him. And you never know when a weak connection might actually support you in that sense. The next part is the influence. So there's the equation here is it's not just about the how deep or the depth of the connection is when you're talking to them, but also like what level of influence they have within their workplace. The influence is essentially, are they kind of in a management position where they have a responsibility to oversee a budget or personnel decisions, meaning that can they actually potentially create that internship opportunity for you? Or are they low influence, meaning that they are maybe at the bottom of the totem pole, they're like an early employee, they don't really have much experience yet, and also they don't have any decision-making power about whether they can create an internship. And so the goal is to be able to get to the people with high influence. That's why, for myself, I messaged directors of people to be able to have these informational interviews. Yes, I can always talk to like the analysts or the people who might not be in management. They'll help me learn more about what it's like to work there, but they're not going to help me get an internship at all. So you want to try to talk to the CEOs, you want to try to talk to the directors or anyone that has a management title to it, because they are the ones who can pull strings and make it happen. Okay, so now that we talked about how to increase your reach and value, right? The next part is about how to write about them within your applications. So some quick writing tips here overall is one, be genuine, right? Admission officers, don't think about what is it that they're looking for. They just really want to want you to show, can you be reflective on what did you learn from all your experiences? Remember, the goal of the application is to show what exactly you want to, why is it that you want to go to college? What is it that you want to study? And how do you know that based on what you're currently doing? By being able to to show your experiences and connect them to what is it that you want to learn, and being reflective about your own experiences about what did you learn about yourself. Those are the things that they're looking for there. Like, I guess, I guess I'm contradicting myself. I'm saying like, don't try to write about things that they're looking for, but in a way, they're looking for those kind of things. What I'm saying is, like, be genuine in a sense of be real about your reflections, and there's not a specific kind of text that they're looking for or wanting to hear. Second is your connection, reflecting on your internship experiences and how they have shaped your perspective on the interest that you've developed. So let's just say that you are trying to major in engineering and you had an internship within an engineering internship. Well, that is a perfect connection to be able to demonstrate how, by learning about this particular field, you picked up the specific skill sets that are required for it. You can see how you learned about how engineering can be applied to a particular problem or issue that you really care about. And you want to go to college to be able to learn more about the skill sets that are required to continue like supporting that cause or something of that sort. The goal is to be able to demonstrate what is that you're learning from an internship experience and what is it that you want to learn later on. And lastly, use specific examples. Don't just make general statements of saying like, I had an internship for this particular company and I learned a lot about engineering. Instead, share the specific insights that you got. Be very particular or descriptive about what is it exactly that you did to show that you had an intense engagement with it. So a quick example here. Usually this might be a UC prompt that you might respond to, which is think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you furthered this interest inside or outside the classroom. And so a short example might be, as someone passionate about biomedical research, I sought out an internship at a local university studying neurodegenerative diseases. Over the summer, I worked alongside a team of researchers investigating protein misfolding in Alzheimer's disease. I learned lab techniques like Western blotting and immunohistochemistry chemistry, and was entrusted with running preliminary experiments analyzing protein samples. Outside the lab, I spent hours reading scientific papers to better understand the mechanisms we were studying. This experience not only strengthened my technical skills, but also sparked a deep curiosity about how small discoveries in the lab can lead to big breakthroughs in human health. At UC's, I'm eager to build on this foundation by engaging in undergraduate research and collaborating with peers who share my passion for biomedical innovation, right? So this was like a really well done like example of it. Of course, this is a shortened version. It would be a much longer. And to kind of the reason why this was like powerful was, one, they were very specific. They used a lot of vivid details and they weren't making like any vague statements. So when they were like talking about Western blotting and immunohistochemistry and all those things, those are things that are worthwhile to show that you had a deep connection to it. But though something to be careful about, right, is the every single sentence needs to be related to yourself. Like that's why we always recommend students always have every single sentence with I, me, or myself in there, because you want it to be about you. The common mistake that students make when they're writing about their activities is they go nerd out about this particular thing they learned. Like they might talk about what Western bloating is or blotting is and immunohistochemistry and neurodegenerative diseases. Like they start teaching the readers about something when in reality, like I don't care about about that particular thing. I care about you. It's great that you are demonstrating that you are very interested in it, but you can easily just say that you learned about these things and that you were very intrigued by it, or that you were very excited to learn about these things. The second thing this one did really well was demonstrating initiative and intellectual curiosity. By mentioning they spent hours reading scientific papers outside the lab work, they showed genuine interest and self-motivation, because again, what they're looking for is initiative, right? They go beyond the task and actively seeks to deepen their understanding. So what the colleges, they really love, how do you show that you're nerding out, right? When are the times when you get into a flow state where you're constantly doing research about this particular topic? And so it's not just the internship that was highlighted here, but it was about how that has also translated to things they've done outside of the internship or doing other things. Like everything was connected together. It's not just I'm interested in biomedical research, but I get an internship on it, and also I do myself research as well. Lastly is connecting past experiences to future goals. So the student doesn't stop at describing what they did, but they link the experience to how they plan to continue their interest at the UC. This forward connection makes the response feel purposeful and shows the students will bring value to the university community. So that's the last statement here. And if you notice, the last statement is all you kind of need at times to kind of wrap up your personal insight question or personal statement, which is like, what do you hope to learn or do at this university? Remember, you're applying to universities. And one of my pet peeves about some personal insight questions or personal statements that I've learned or read about is that they never connect it to what the heck do they want to do with this information. And they don't connect it to the colleges or the college educational career that they want to work towards. Because yes, it's always great to talk about your experiences and what you learned, but you're applying to college. So why is it that you're applying to college? That should always be embedded at the very end. All right. So that pretty much covers today's webinar in terms of being able to acquire an internship and make the best out of it and how to talk about it. So let's talk about resources and next steps. So if you want this recording or this presentation, text notes and replay to 949-775-0865. And also, we do have our upcoming summit. That's on May 10th. That's actually this upcoming weekend. So we're going to be teaching you a lot about the insider strategies that we've learned recently. We'll talk about what is it that you can do to enhance your potential on the college admissions process. This will be live on Zoom. And this is for all students and parents, school counselors and educators, and any administrators or community leaders. There's going to be more than 1,000 families. So definitely check it out. You can register on egelloC.com/summit, or you can text 949-775-0865. And if you can't come through, at least register, and then you can be able to get the recording. And that's where you'll be able to just go back to it later on. Also, if you are part of our coaching family, we do have a research program and an internship program that is available. The research program is about a 12-week program where you could be able to participate in creating an independent research paper, which can help you stand on the admissions process and also start developing those networks of professors that you could do research with. And potentially they might be able to write you a letter of recommendation if you build a really strong relationship with them. And also, additionally, you can receive credit from UC San Diego if you do decide to purchase that from them, and that can be on your college transcript that you submit to the colleges. Lastly is the internships. This is an 8-week experience. So if you don't have an internship yet and you are running out of time, there's still some time. So you can be able to get an 8-week experience to do a real world project, work at a virtual startup, and you'll be able to get a letter of completion from the company and get an optional recommendation letter for college apps as well. So remember, this is only for our coaching families. And so text internship or research to 949-775-0865. And so these are the words to text. If you want all of it, that's totally fine. And so now we're going to go to Q&A. So any questions that are coming up for anybody? No questions? Quiet group today. All right. If there's no questions, oh, it looks like there is one. Can you show the research slide program? Yeah, I can do that. All right. Okay, not seeing any other questions. So yeah, this So again, these are the messages to send over. Oh, what kind of self-internships for future teachers? Oh, okay. For that one, I think that's pretty easy, but which is talk to your teachers right now and ask the teachers if you can help out with anything in the classroom or to help create lesson plans or something of that sort. Uh, Teachers are always drowning every single day, if you think about it. And so something to consider is uh, maybe there's like some type of after school program or tutoring program that you could be able to help with. So asking teachers just directly if there's anything you can support with is an easy first start. They might recommend tutoring, which is totally fine, but also something that you want to go into a little bit more is like curriculum design and how to teach a classroom or something of that sort. So that could be helping the teacher maybe it's kind of more like a personal project if anything, but helping them create like study group programs or helping them, I don't know, uh, like teach an after school class or something. That those can be some things. If a student can get a custom internship through a family connection. Is that okay? Yes, totally. There's nothing wrong with that. Anything when school is out, like the summertime. Uh, yeah, I mean, there are still summer school classes, right? So it's still very much possible to be able to do that. I mean, there's a lot of summer programs out there. If you think about it, you can actually work for a lot of summer program jobs where they might have like a summer program for middle school or elementary school students. That's actually one of my first jobs when I was in high school, I remember, which was actually uh, helping teach a summer program for elementary school kids. And you can like look up if there's any summer programs, just generally speaking, and you can just message them directly and ask them if, hey, uh, are you looking for any teachers or looking for any high school volunteers to be able to support? I think you can probably get paid for those ones as well. Welcome. All right. So I think that concludes our questions here. So have a good rest of the night, everyone, and take care of yourselves. And looking forward to talk to y'all at a future webinar.